Hey, everybody. That was a good one to follow. Thanks, guys. So thanks for joining me today. I'm honored to share with you guys the transformative journey of transportation insurance. It's a field that demands adaptability, collaboration, and openness. And I'm talking about transportation because, well, that's what I've done for the last 15 years. But this can be applied outside of transportation, right? Transportation thinks they're all unique, and they are. They are a rare breed, but we were able to standardize it. And so throughout those experiences, we figured out how we can embrace change, nurture our partnerships, and prioritize transparency in order to innovate and succeed in a market that is chaos. So before we begin, I want to take a moment to consider some questions internally about what challenges you and your teams are facing. What would make it easier to do business together with your clients, with your partners? What partnerships do you already have that you could utilize to solve those problems? And if you don't have a current partnership, who are you going to seek out in order to help you solve those problems? And so then most importantly, what are you going to do about it? And how are you going to make it happen? So people often joke that you get into insurance either because you're a legacy and you had family in it, or you fell into it and you never got out. Yeah, that was me. When I was in my third year of college, I decided to quit my job as a bartender and go to the Philippines for 3 weeks to visit my brother in the Peace Corps. And after a few weeks being home, my mom said, you know, I clean house for this guy that owns an insurance agency. I laughed and I said, I'm never going to be in insurance. Rest her soul, she's probably the one laughing now because 15 years later, here I am talking to you all about transportation insurance. And I've spent my entire career at that office and recently moved to a new one to help them with all of the changes and everything that I'm implementing through AssuredPartners. So I've been with People's Insurance Agency for the 15 years, and then about 2 years ago, I started taking a role within AssuredPartners to standardize transportation in the vertical, right? So AssuredPartners has 11 different verticals. They all specialize in different things. Mine is transportation. And what they wanted me to do is to take the platform that I partnered with a startup company and implement that across the board. And along with that, finding other integrations and building other ways for us to standardize and automate that process. So our team wasn't sitting there doing all of this manual work, right? So I guess I jumped ahead here. Is it coming? There we go. Yeah, there's me. So I think it's important to understand, you know, what's different about transportation. Everything. Everything is different. We have to remarket everything every single year. So what most people don't know about trucking is how arduous it used to be to conduct business with a trucker. Keep in mind, these are people that are on the road, right? And so back in the day, before we had fancy emails on our phone and all of this DocuSign things, we had to call them if we needed something signed and we were gonna get a binder in. We had to call them, pull over at a truck stop, give me the fax number to the truck stop, and then I'd fax it to them and they'd sign it. But then, God forbid, you forgot a page and they had gotten back on the road and you had to do it again, right? Not great, not great. And trust me, you don't want to make a trucker mad. So you try to get through that, right? But when I started as a customer service rep, we were doing paper endorsements. We would send the email to the carrier, we'd print the email, we'd handwrite a little endorsement letter, do a little change form, and then we had to take it into this bodybuilder's office and you set it down on his desk and he was gonna check it over. Boy, you did not want to hear your name called out for that one. You knew you messed up then. But then they would go into a stack of paper waist high and it would sit there until you get the endorsement and the invoice back from the carrier, and now, you know, you gotta go digging through these stacks of paper and all of that. So it was definitely a different time. But what it taught us is what we needed to do to succeed, because we knew that wasn't sustainable, right? That we were never going to be able to grow doing that. And so we focused on partnerships, and we focused on embracing the change that comes along with it, And we taught the team how to truly embrace that change. And I'm not talking just change management meetings and figuring out, where they're at on the J curve and all of that, right? Really getting them to understand that our role in operations is to make their job easier. And they have to believe it. And they have to want to be part of that change. So, back to what's different about this, right? We had to figure out how to automate and standardize all of these different things, right? We've got constantly changing federal and state regulations, DOT always breathing down on the trucker's back, right? And it's highly transactional. There's very little direct bill. Nobody's got downloads, except for maybe Progressive. But then we're marketing out for all these different types of risks. And you have to have a wide market access, but you have to be able to shop that every year because those truckers are gonna go looking elsewhere. It's not like your home and auto that you write it and you forget about it for the next 5 years and eventually maybe somebody will call you, right? We have to shop that every year and we have to be aggressive about it. So we check all of these drivers. We have to review all of these trucks. We have to make sure that they've got the right filings. We have to make sure that they've got the right permits to go through certain states. Right? Kentucky, for example, you have to have a permit for liquor. Ohio, you have to have it if you're oversized, overweight. So how do we figure out what we need to do? Well, we need to coordinate chaos. And so in doing that, we have to focus on that change. We have to focus on those partnerships. And most importantly, we have to focus on transparency. So today, we obviously just talked about all the hassle that we used to go to, but today we're completely paperless. We utilize this innovative new platform that allows our clients, instead of us having to email a spreadsheet back and forth with all the trucks and all the drivers and everything, they can go onto the platform. And that platform will actually send an email to the underwriter if they need to have a change made. And so it takes my team completely out of it until they need something more important, right? If it's just something that can turn around, that system is going to do it for my team, right? And then the team can have that time to be on the phones answering questions, talking them through different scenarios, coaching them through this. So I want to talk first about embracing change because, again, I'm not talking about it from a perspective of you got to get everybody rah, let's do this, right? But one of the most effective tools that I've had with my team is telling them what it used to be like to do business and asking them if they want to go back there. You want to do that? Anybody? Faxing? It'll be great. Send it over in the mail. It'll be awesome. Nobody wants to go back there. Pick one time in your life that you want to go back to and stay forever. People get excited for change. They just don't know it, right? So seek solutions even when you're told no. No, we're not going to change that. Challenge that. Why? If it can be easier, why not? No is an easy answer, so don't just take that. Figure it out. I built my career on people telling me no and then just saying, watch this. Because they told me that platform couldn't be built, that it would never work, and we could never automate monthly reports or endorsements or anything like that. Yeah, and now I'm here talking to you guys about how we did it. So, thank you. But seeking solutions, improving client experiences, but also your employees, right? We want to make sure that our employees are able to do the things that they want to do. How are they ever going to grow if they're stuck doing all this transactional stuff that a computer can do these days, right? They can actually get on the phone and call the client and coach them through a problem. Instead of sitting there, I got to process this endorsement, oh my God, 5 o'clock, I got to go to happy hour, all of the things. They're happier because they have these tools. And so, yeah, they might resist it a little bit at the beginning, but I always promise them, a year from now, you're going to see the vision too. Just trust me that I have the vision, and a year from now, you're going to see it too. So the strong partnerships are what have allowed us to harness collective knowledge and resources to tackle the industry challenges. It fosters a culture of innovation, driving advancements that benefit all stakeholders, and through collaboration, we can achieve more than we ever could alone. Using your resources, sharing your knowledge, identifying common problems, visions, goals, recognizing that expertise are all around you, right? All you gotta do is ask, have that conversation. It'll improve your user experience, and it'll revolutionize your approach to doing business. We've been fortunate to work with other partners of ours like finance companies, payment platforms. Previous slide, you might have noticed that we finance a lot of things. Trucking policies are quite expensive. And so we've partnered with those platforms to be able to quick quote that on our platform for our client. Our client can go in and say, I want to add 1 truck, 1 trailer. Here's the TIV that I want to get. And it'll quote that through a payment platform that'll generate the finance agreement, send it to the client, and they pay that link, and it books that finance agreement. It sends my team an email and says, hey, they want to add this truck. They've already paid. And then my team gets to go ahead and just finish saving that, right? It's one last piece that they have to do. Make sure that the client's got everything else that they need, because the client through that platform can immediately then get a cab card for their truck, and an ID card, I should call it, right? I call it a cab card because trucking. But that's what it allows them to do. And so the experts are already there. Your people are already there that are going to change this for you, right? So it's allowed us to streamline and refine these processes and lower the processing costs to build more trust between us and our clients and our partners. And just for an example, because you can talk about how all these things change, one office, by focusing on the people, the process, and then finding the automation to do that, saved one office $100,000 a year in processing costs. $100,000 for one office, just because I focused on that. And we made it a point at that office to know that our vision was to get our employees to grow in a different way, right? So lastly is transparency, because I think that this is something that we don't talk enough about. Everybody wants and deserves transparency, but not everybody gets it, right? Do your clients have access to see what you do for them on a real-time basis? Do you have the tools in place to give that, if you're on the retail side, to give that to the wholesaler, to the carrier, right? And vice versa, right? If you're a wholesaler or a carrier, how transparent are you with your agents and your insureds? Because you can make better decisions with that. And because we focus on those partnerships and we have that transparency with those carriers, with those wholesalers, with those clients, we get to make decisions that make a ton of sense. We have clear intentions, we can work together towards those goals, and then we've expanded our resources because it's not just our company that's focusing on it. We've got other people that are, arguably way more capable than what we are in order to build some of those things, right? And so that's why we want to partner with those people. That's how we're going to get ahead. So by focusing on continuous change, partnerships, and transparency, we've improved experiences for clients, employees, and created a more efficient and transparent industry, paving the way for future growth and success for all the parties involved. And in partnering with innovative companies, leveraging cutting-edge technology, we've revolutionized not only our approach to doing business, but also transportation insurance industry as a whole. So I encourage you all to embrace change and innovation. Look outside of your normal industry. Think about these questions and how you can apply this when you leave here. Because by learning to appreciate constant change, fostering partnerships, and prioritizing transparency, we can drive more than just the transportation industry forward, creating a future where everyone thrives. So thank you for your time. Best of luck to you all.